and it's time to get that snowplow you've been waiting for. Right now, Mountain Land will give you a $250 Visa gift card when you purchase a Boss Snow Raider stand-on plow. Make quick work of snow and ice-covered sidewalks. Save time, brine, spread, and plow all at once to maximize productivity and profitability. See your Mountain Land Power Equipment dealer in Rock Springs, Ogden, Salt Lake, or Springville, or go online to mountainlandpowerequipment.com.
97.5 KZNS FM Colville, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It's Football Friday. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. And you. Thanks for being with us today. Hey, Football Friday, JJ. I don't know if this is technically it's not our final Football Friday, I guess, of the year, pending whatever goes on today with BYU.
Let's hope we squeeze out one more. Right?
Listen, why not?
Squeeze out one more.
This is what I'm hoping for. Yeah, and especially because Sly and Riley are both doing the family thing. And look,
Sly's in Orlando.
Sly's in Orlando, and I'm sure he's getting off the Matterhorn right now at Disney World, just so he can make it over to the stadium.
He's got a pregame show starting pretty soon.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, Sly and Riley, the normal crew, we're going to give them a pass today. And we're actually a shorter version of our program today on a Football Friday, as Utah pregame is going to clear the way, or we're going to clear the way for them, starting at 5:00 right now. Utah State leading Colorado State. On the legs of Bryson Barnes and Rasul Faison, who are just absolutely running all over Colorado. By the way, Colorado State needs this game. Like, I don't know what this is a way better Colorado State Rams team than Utah State has been facing in some of their other opponents this year. And, yeah, so I don't know. Utah State showing up 16-6 right now, right before the half, and the Rams are driving a little bit right now. But Bryson Barnes, I think, is over the century mark already on the ground.
Yes.
For Utah
He's
State.
at 87 yards.
87 yards rushing. Faison's got 54. So they're running all over the place. 141 yards rushing in the first half for the 7-4 Utah State Aggies against the 4-7 Utah State Aggies against the 7-4 Colorado State Rams. So there you go. JJ, how was your Thanksgiving, brother?
Oh, it was too nice. I mean, can I brag about the food I made? Does everyone care?
I don't want you to brag about it. I need you to brag about it because
we need to tell the story about what happened when we came in today. We have to tell that story.
Look,
I don't want to embarrass you.
I love how you act like I'm the homeless guy.
You basically had a homeless Thanksgiving today.
It's not Thanksgiving today. I had a normal Thanksgiving yesterday. But, we are both on the same page about, like, the traditional Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
And, yes, I came in today, and I hadn't eaten today. I got in, and I got down here to American Fork at the Doug Smith Mitsubishi where we're doing the show today. There's a 7-Eleven across the street, and I went, haven't eaten anything. I'm going to go check out an egg salad sandwich. I have a gas station egg salad sandwich here. I felt okay about it, and I got clowned by JJ, who gave me the list of things. Now, listen, now that I say it out loud, I'm embarrassed.
See?
Gas station egg salad.
It sounds like a good idea in the moment. But I hope you have regret.
Listen, what's
all
worse?
you had to do is text me.
Okay, but I can't do that. I can't.
I didn't want to bring a plate of food here, and you guys just you say, I already ate.
No. And listen, Brant's pissed too. Our tech Brant is over here going, why didn't you bring the pork and the tri-tip? Come on. Can we Uber Eats but call your house and see if it'll come down?
Better hurry. My wife can run some down. We've got 2 hours.
Oh, my God.
I made rack of pork.
Okay.
Just tender and juicy.
Okay.
The perfect rub.
Got it.
Still good the second day.
Gosh.
And I made some top sirloin steak.
Yep.
Top of cap. Awesome. Thick steaks.
Wait, did you? Okay, so there were steaks. You didn't smoke the tri-tip.
I did not smoke
it.
Okay. So it was top sirloin,
Gosh,
but top of cap. I mean,
no,
big,
I got you.
thick, giant.
You don't need it. Yeah, I know about it.
I'll show you a picture. I'm going to show you a picture.
Isn't it funny that guys take pictures of this kind of stuff?
I don't take pictures of my kids. I just take pictures of my
just
food.
Just the meat. And listen, but again, that's a thing. Oh, you can't do this.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, you got nothing on Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's got nothing on you with that gray brisket
Lincoln Riley is the devil. Not only does he not coach football very well, he doesn't know how to eat meat.
Gas station egg salad sandwich or gas station sushi? Which one's going to make you sicker faster? Well, we'll find out today.
Join us the experiment begin. Alex is on the clock.
Yes, it was not my finest moment, and I don't care. It's fine.
How many commercial breaks before Alex runs to that bathroom?
Stop it. All right, we are at the Doug Smith Mitsubishi in American Fork. We were here last week, and I was just chatting with Chris Smith of the Smith family fame, of course, and he promised me that we have even better deals, which I don't know how we're going to keep getting better.
How do you do better than $398 down, $398 a month on a brand new Mitsubishi EV?
It's the Outlander. It's that plug-in hybrid, and you're going to get 68 miles a gallon on this thing. I don't want to. Should I? See, we're going to be here a lot during December, and I just don't want to. I don't want to have to show my cards early.
Every time I look at this, I'm like,
I know.
I've got 2 cars over 200,000 miles, and I could drive this home today.
Yes, you could. Your cars are the car version of the 7-Eleven egg salad sandwich.
I agree.
you
I can make fun of
better.
you today about that tomorrow.
You deserve much better.
On Monday, you make fun of me because of my car situation.
Listen, it's fine.
They're Hondas. They're great.
I drove my Camry till it had 300,000 on it a few years ago, and you know what? I'm one of those guys. I'll drive it till the wheels fall off, man.
My cars are older than college football players today. That's not good.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so we're going to kick things off. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. You can find them at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other locations in the refrigerated section for those G2G Bars. Let's kick off the program as we always do with the Cut. It's a Football Friday edition of the Cut, and let's get right to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is What Made the Cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local financial needs. Oh, yeah. Noyes is the kicker for Colorado State, the old Ute.
Yep, that's right.
And when I say old, I mean like isn't he like 36 and a half?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, are we behind on this? Are we about to see something wild? We're about to see something wild here. I don't know what's going on. Oh, yep. It's a crazy one. The Utah State goes into the half, gives up a touchdown with 18 seconds left on the clock to Colorado State going into the half. Not the way you wanted to end it, because they could have just made a stand there, at least held them to a field goal. All right, let's kick things off here, JJ, with Utah versus UCF. It's Football Friday, and I said it with that tone of voice because that's the tone of voice I think everybody who's talking about Utah is speaking with right now, which is
tough.
A giant sigh.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to Coach Mack on the way in, and they asked him, okay, what's going to happen in this game today? And it was, you know what? I have no idea. And I have to say the same thing. We have no idea where Utah's head is at right now. We don't know where the teams, did they show up to Florida today and they're just going through the motions and they're just like, let's get to 2020 to 2025, the football season, or are they going, no, we're going to send this group out for real and we're showing up and you're going to see them play with a fire that we haven't seen in a couple of weeks? Or I'm not sure what to expect from this Utah team. It's hard to imagine them going out to Orlando on a long trip on a short week. That's a combination that we were talking about earlier in the season, before the season even started. We're making our predictions. This was already an uh-oh game because it was a short week and a long trip. And that's never good for a team when they're trying to put something together. And we thought, okay, if they're trying to win the Big 12, that's going to be one of these games. It could be an absolute disaster for them. But instead, they're coming in there 4-7. UCF is 4-7, and the benefit to that is I guess they're looking at it like, hey, we're at home. It's our final game of the year. We can go out beating the Utah Utes, who were picked to win the conference this year, and we can go out nice. Or these two teams who are just trying to get this season over with. I mean, honestly, like that. It's a Friday. It's a Black Friday.
All of you listening right now, Utah fans, how invested are you in this game?
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's nothing at stake here. There's nothing on the line. As a fan, you just love your school. You love your team. You want to watch them play football again. And there's one thing that I like about this game that I'm interested in. I love storylines, so I'm going to come up with one now.
Yeah.
Luke Pittari, guys don't get many opportunities to play Power 4 Division I football. It's not easy. And he is patiently waited for opportunities. Last year he got it at the end of the year against Colorado. I think he was in the transfer portal, came back, decided to stick it out here. Now he's got a chance to go play one more game.
Right.
That guy's going to play with everything he's got today. That guy's going to put it all out there because this is his last chance. This is his last football game. That is a storyline.
Imagine being the fifth-string quarterback at the school, and last year he was fourth, and he got in last year and he started, and he gets in this year and he starts as a fifth-string guy. Like the amount of catastrophic things that have to happen to Utah for that to happen 2 years in a row spells out a disaster for your team. And, yeah, it is a nice story, but it also equates to absolute, like, just despair for this team. And I'm telling you that when Luke Batari goes in, I'm glad he's going to play hard. I'm glad people – but you know what? There's a reason he was a fifth-string guy. He's not one that you're going to necessarily count on. Could he get something going and electrify the offense a little bit? Absolutely, especially because he doesn't have much tape out there. And you saw him last week be able to – I mean, he is not slow. Like, he is absolutely shifty. He's very quick. And so if he breaks out of that pocket and UCF has to try to figure a guy out who they're not used to figuring out, then that could be a benefit for Utah. The problem is that his familiarity with the passing game is two strikes against him because, one, you're not that familiar with it because you don't get that many reps with it. You get almost no reps if you are him because he's taking reps as a scout team guy, and the offense is very different that he's running from week to week, and he's not taking regular reps of the offense on top of the fact that the offensive coordinator gets changed over midseason. And so that's another one against where you're trying to wonder if that guy's going to have his stuff together. The good news is he did have all week to work at it. The good news is they know exactly who's going to be the starting quarterback today. They don't have to wonder, and they could have prepped him this week. So let's jump into some audio for this segment here and kind of get into a couple things. One, Kyle Whittingham talking about the challenge that UCF poses because from an offensive standpoint, they are very, very good. And how invested is this defense in being able to stop R.J. Harvey? Here's what he said.
Central Florida, really potent on offense, leading the conference offensively, running the ball exceptionally well, as is the case with any Gus Malzahn team. You're gonna have a strong run game. They're running it for over 250 a week, another couple hundred throwing the ball, so just over 450 a week of total O, scoring points, good on third down, good in the red zone. So it'll be a challenge for our defense this week to face that, particularly that rushing attack.
This is a very good UCF. By the way, he made the Cardinals. You can't. Well, maybe it was the diss that he was doing. You can't call him Central Florida, Coach.
I don't think the SIDs at UCF.
You don't think they were dipping in?
Been able to get a hold of him. He'll have to apologize post game.
I made the mistake of saying it to their athletic director. Athletic director Terry Mahajir, who was like, "Excuse you." Now he was nice about it, but I definitely got.
Everybody listening now is now in on our UCF joke.
UCF
don't call us Central Florida.
Don't call us Central Florida, and everybody outside of Utah is like, we have to say it because I'm trying to figure out exactly where it is. Directional Florida.
Right.
Yes, there you go. If you're prepping for this team, you don't worry about a Morgan Scalley defense unless you need to worry about. I mean, I know that they gave up a lot of yards and a lot of points to Colorado, but that was a little bit different too because there was a lot that got let loose in that game, including the defense was on the field a lot of minutes in that game.
And they were put in some tough situations.
And they were put in bad situations with the turnovers, but they also last week against Iowa State, who by the way. I don't know what to think about that Iowa State team. They have also kind of plateaued. They don't really look like themselves. Their run game was already kind of struggling, and then Utah was able to definitely hold them down. But again, they got let loose on the passing side of things in that last drive, of course, where they had the chance to lock it down. They would have made a stop. They would have won that football game. And in a rare moment, a Morgan Scalley defense collapsed at the very end there. I don't know what to think about. That's half of what I'm wondering how this team shows up attitude-wise. And I'm not questioning whether or not they want to win. I'm not questioning not these guys wanting to play hard because Mekhi Bernard we talked to earlier in the week, and he was super excited about being able to go out there. He's like, of course I'm going to go out there. Am I banged up? Yes. When has Mekhi Bernard not been banged up? And that's the thing is I love that guys like Mekhi represent a they're the embodiment of Kyle Whittingham, right? Like just these tough-nosed competitors who can't not play if they're able to walk. You know what I mean? And so I don't know what to think about this UCF team on offense because I don't know if they're just going to get rolling or if Utah can show up and absolutely stop R.J. Harvey. It's a rough one for the Utes today on paper because it's going to be a real challenge on defense, and then their offense obviously has had some real struggles.
Here's some more storylines. Do they want to avoid making bad history? No team in Utah history has lost 8 straight games in a season, and I mean that partly because they didn't play that many games way back in the day.
Right.
It hasn't been that long since you've even been able to do that, but it's a great testament to how good this program has been for a long time that they've been able to avoid such a streak of losing. But that could happen today, and I don't think this team wants to make history in that way.
Sure.
You mentioned Mekhi Bernard. This is somebody who has a chance to become a 1,000-yard back, the latest 1,000-yard back in Utah history. You don't think he wants to go out there and get that number? He's 78 yards short of a 1,000-yard rushing season. So he's going to play hard. That's why he wants to play. He has his own personal goals there.
Well, I've got some sound there for you, too, because Mekhi brought that up, and obviously that's on deck for him. And if he can do it, and by the way, you think they're going to not feed him the ball, they know that that's a desire that he has. They want him to go on a good note, and if he's doing well, then the team's going to do well today. Here's what Mekhi said about it.
Man, I'm trying to check it off. I'm trying so hard to check it off. Lack of, production lately, but 78 yards to go, I believe. So, I need to do it. Got to. That's the difference between getting paid and not getting paid. So, got to get to 78.
Well, and it's not just the 78. He wants to have what? Give him 180 yards today, right?
Yeah.
He wants to go out there. He wants to catch, 6 balls for 75 yards and run for 100 and 114. Like that. And that's the type of day I think you have to have from Mekhi to be able to get this thing done. Now, when BYU played UCF, you remember they came out of the gates and they started quick, and that was the key. Was they were able to really get after them, and they got enough of a lead at the half and then made a stop and then were able to score on that first drive of the second half. It was that middle 8, for them. That's always like a big point of emphasis. But once they got UCF on the ropes, you talk about a program that is on their third or fourth quarterback. That's them. But Dylan Risk, who's that fourth-string quarterback who would come in for him, and I think he's going to be the one who's going to get the majority of the snaps today. He's been pretty decent, and he's kept the offense rolling. He's kept everything going, and I think that's one of those guys you got to keep an eye on but that's the thing is he's a young dude, and this linebacking core and this defensive backfield is really, really good, and so we'll have to see how he reacts and how Utah shows up in terms of an energy. If the whole team isn't feeling it, if it's Alamo Bowl 2019. This is not what you're going to want to see if you're a Utah fan.
No. And I think that that was a circumstance where guys were sitting out for the NFL. There's nothing to play for there. And, again, is there anything to play for here? There's some pride involved here. No one in that team, that team in 2019 was trying to get to the college football playoff and win a Pac-12 championship. They fell short, and their season ended when they fell short. I think last year, Utah, that was a team that was fighting to get back to the Pac-12 championship game. They lost against Washington, and all of a sudden their season was over, even though they had some games left.
Right.
This is a team who's, they lost bowl eligibility already. This is their bowl game. Going to Orlando in Florida, playing in this game, this is their bowl game. And for a lot of these guys, we saw a lot of seniors last week, Alex. A lot of seniors walk. Not all of them are available today. Not all of them are going to play, but I think there's enough seniors today that want to go out a winner, that don't want that kind of a historic losing streak to identify their time at Utah. Mekhi Bernard wants to get to 1,000 yards. I think this Utah team is going to fight, and they're going to play as hard as they can today. They're not going to just walk. They're just not going to quit. They're going to go out there and fight against the UCF team who has less to play for than them. Like, this is not their bowl game. They just want to get their season over with. So I view this as an advantage for Utah in the sense of motivation. And ultimately the most motivation is these guys have to motivate themselves as just athletes with some sense of pride to go out there and play their best.
Does Gus Malzahn, is his job in jeopardy at all? Or
it could be. It could be because they had a lot of expectations coming into the season too, and his job security is nowhere near what Kyle Whittingham has. Kyle Whittingham has a lot of equity.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And
no, Kyle Whittingham.
I don't know if he has as much as Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, but he's got some equity.
No, I bet you know what? Oh, well, listen. Mike Gundy, who just went 0-9 today in conference play, they went 0-9 in conference play. And I don't care if you're
3-9 on the season.
And I don't care if you're Mike Gundy. Yeah, they started off 3-0 and then they rattled off 9 losses in a row, man.
Right.
And that's a wild thing to think. They lost 52-0 today.
Yep.
Think about where they were last year. They're walking into the Big 12 championship game, and then you talk about turnarounds. Is it more wild that ASU and BYU made the turnaround that they did, or that the opposite turnaround happened for Oklahoma State? I think the Oklahoma State thing is
and Utah.
Is as mind-boggling as anything that's happened
Utah
in the conference.
has 1 win in conference play. Can you imagine going 1-8 in conference play? I mean, that just blows my mind. So
yeah,
those things I think is enough for that team to go out there and play with some heart. Is that enough to win today? We'll find out. But I don't think they're just not going to roll over. They're going to fight.
Interested to see how it is. Like we'll find out right off the bat, and I think that being able to sustain, not just coming out of that first series, what's going to happen in that first half? Because if they can get some of that energy going in the first half, there's just no version of a Kyle Whittingham team that we've seen have any of this happen, right? And so I think that a lot of folks see this and go, what on earth is going to happen? How on earth is this going to have to get rectified? And how much does Kyle Whittingham want this one? How much does he instill in these guys to go out on a high note like that? And we'll see how it goes today against UCF in Orlando. That's coming up. 5 o'clock pregame, 6 o'clock kick. And we'll, of course, talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on here on a Football Friday. We'll come back. We've got more to go around the corner on a Football Friday. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. We're going to come back and we're going to jump in and chat a little bit about something that Chris Klieman said, the head coach of Kansas State University. What the head coach of Kansas State has said about this conference and what needs to change, because you cannot have the top eating itself like it has been over the last few weeks if you want to be a big-time Power 4 conference. You do not want to be pipped by these smaller conferences in the college football playoff. We will talk about it next right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Black Friday to you. Happy Football Friday as we get you ready for the Utah Utes taking on the UCF. Are they the Golden Knights?
They are the Golden Knights.
I don't know if there was a color associated.
There is.
That's going to be a pregame at 5 o'clock with Lloyd Cole and Christian Cox, and we'll get you ready there. Oh, my goodness. Third quarter just fired up. Utah State and Colorado State. The Aggies are up 16-13 on the back of a 16-3 start, and they've just been hanging in there. And Colorado State obviously is a really good team, 7-4. They're looking to make sure they can get themselves. I think that they are still in conversation to be in the Mountain West Championship.
If they win, I believe they will play Boise State for the conference championship. If they don't, then UNLV plays Boise State. And let's be honest, is Colorado State as good as UNLV? No. But we all know how it goes with conference championship games sometimes. So
well, and here's what I was going to say too: is that Boise State. I mean, have they been blowing the doors off of people? No. Like they've had some close games against opponents they should not have close games against.
Yes,
including
Wyoming.
You get a Colorado State team or a UNLV team that goes into that game and they've got their stuff figured out. Like Boise State will have a rough time. And then that whole scenario about the Mountain West champion at 12 and if they're 12-0 versus 11-1, 11-1, you're way down. And then you're not even anywhere near going to be that number 4 seed in the college football playoff picture. And so, interesting way to do this thing. And it's not what you want to see if you're a Boise State fan. But man, and if you're a Mountain West guy, then you obviously want the. If you're a Mountain West guy, then you want to make sure that if they go 12-0, then my goodness.
Well, they'd be 11-1.
Well,
they're 11-1 now. They'd be 12-1 with the conference championship.
If they win the conference championship,
their only loss would be a field goal at the end at Autzen Stadium against the Oregon Ducks,
that's
who
what
are
I mean.
number one in the country.
I mean, undefeated in conference play, and then they
Yes.
get in. But if they lose one of these last two games, meaning the conference championship or this last week,
if Boise State,
I mean, they already won last.
If Boise State
yesterday.
loses the Mountain West Championship game, they would plummet.
How many?
And UNLV would be, or UNLV or Colorado State would go to the college football playoff potentially.
How many yards did Jeanty end up with yesterday? I know it was over 200
Today?
or today's rather.
200. Oh, sorry, 200. I'll get the box score up.
I think it was 230 or something like that. It was they handed the ball 37 times or something to him, and they want to make sure he gets to that conversation.
He's got a shot at the Barry Sanders record. So
it's either way. Anyway, so there you go. Utah State right now is
226 today for Ashton Jeanty.
226. Not bad. So that puts him over like the 2,300 or 2,400 mark on the season. So he's pretty darn good. And then he's got himself a conference championship game and a bowl game probably to be able to do that as well. Because they count the bowl games now too, right?
If you go, so let's say for instance they were that 12 seed in the 5-12 game.
Oh, they got two, and they get 2 extra games on top of it.
And
That'd
if they won that, he could continue to rack up a lot of yards.
See, but
and
again,
it all counts.
But again, you want to count that? Like Barry Sanders played 11, or maybe 11 games, maybe 12 is his Heisman Trophy winning season. So, all right, I want you to listen to this audio here, and this is Chris Klieman, who's the head coach of Kansas State. Here's what he had to say about the playoffs and the current situation that team's fine. They're 8-3. They could go to 9-3 with a win over Kansas State tomorrow, over Iowa State tomorrow. They're still mathematically in it. Now, if BYU beats Houston, they would be out, but they obviously want to get a win in Farmageddon. But Chris Klieman's like, look, we've got a situation here in the Big 12. Here's what he had to say about these teams at the top beating one another and actually putting themselves at a disadvantage when it comes to being put up against the SEC and the Big 10 when it comes to the college football playoff.
Other teams can lose in other leagues, and it's that league's really good. We lose in this league, and this league stinks. And I don't understand that. As a conference, we need to get together and figure some things out, because for a bunch of teams to be 9-3 and us not get any of those things in the college football playoff, then we've got to cancel one of these games. I don't care what people say. Then go to 8 games in league play, or stay with 9 but play an FCS or play a group of 5. And I'd say, well, that would hurt you. I don't care. You say what you want. 10-2 looks better than 9-3. And we're going to visit at this year's conference meetings, and because we have to do things to benefit our league for the 12-team playoff, not to just benefit our league in general. And we need to be able to get 2 and 3 teams in the Big 12 or in the 12-team playoff. The carnage that you're seeing is going to allow for one most likely.
He's dead right. And when he says, that's going to hurt you if you beat that FCS team compared to, a different schedule. No, it doesn't. Ask the SEC. Like all these, by the way, the Big Ten and the SEC, they play FCS teams. They play bottom tier FBS teams. I mean, Tennessee played UTEP, for heaven's sakes, 2 weeks ago.
What are they doing?
At home. Right.
How come no one talks about that?
We do, and we make fun of it, but what happens is that everybody's just gotten used to the fact that the SEC has just decided, hey, man, we're going to play 8 games as a conference.
Why do they get the pass?
Because it's the SEC.
Because they're making the rules.
Yes. And Greg Sankey just goes, deal with it. And what are we going to do? Tell Georgia that them playing Furman is not going to be good enough for them to
penalize them 100%.
But
drop them down 4 spots for playing that game.
So instead, if you're the Big 12, be smart when you have those conference meetings. If it takes it going down to 8 games in your conference play, then absolutely you have to do it, because right now you have no teams that have fewer than 2 losses. You have everybody is 2 losses or more. You're going to have two loss teams in the Big 12 championship game. And I'm not saying that makes – and does it make you worse for going 11-1 versus 10-2 if you only play 8 conference games and you give yourself – look, okay. Does anybody look at college basketball and go, I can't believe that their first 3 months or their first 2 months was just them playing a bunch of cupcakes? No, it's the standard.
Yeah.
It's the standard. And then you have a couple of tournaments in there, and you get a couple teams in there with a quad 1, quad 2 win, at the very beginning of the season. But the reality is that everybody knows, hey, you're going to be 10-0 or 9-1 before you even start playing any decent games.
But you beat Mississippi Valley State 3 times.
And guess what? nobody goes, they'll come back and they'll talk about their strength of schedule. Oh, it's not that good. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter if you end up going 27-8 and you end up playing in your conference that's really good, because the Big 12, by the way, is really freaking good. And if you are, if you're 5-4 in conference play, or I don't know, I can't remember how many games they play in basketball conference games, but let's say that
18.
Right, and you go 9-9, and everyone goes, that's a dang good basketball team right there, because that's how difficult the conference is, and we get it.
That's what they do in the Big 12. BYU did it last year.
And SEC, guess what? You're in a really tough league. And it shouldn't be the other way around that we're asking the SEC to stop playing that FCS game in the middle of the season. It is, you know what? We got to get on the playing field with them. We got to be 10 and we got to be 11-1 going. You got to have two teams that are 11-1, or maybe one 12-0 going into the conference championship game, because then you give yourself a shot of being able to at least argue that you can have two teams in the college football playoff. Right now, they're loving it. The SEC, the Big Ten are loving it. They go, Big 12 is eating itself, and they have no leg to stand on to be able to ask us if they can get two teams in.
We watched the Pac-12 do that for a decade.
Right. Every year was two losses.
9 games. Are you kidding me? And then no respect at the end of the year for that. Nobody cared. The SEC is laughing all the way to the bank.
So give yourself a shot. Chris Klieman is absolutely right. I'm not saying add FCS teams. I'm saying play another Group of 5 team, and those Group of 5 teams, by the way, are they'll get you on certain years, right? But that's the payoff is you're playing these other teams. It's not another conference game that's going to ding you, and I think that's you're not going to get anywhere asking the SEC to play, because the Big Ten plays 9 games, but they have 18 teams in their conference. They have to. I mean, and by the way, the bottom 6 teams in the Big Ten are terrible.
Yeah.
They are absolutely awful. I mean, Purdue is the worst team we've seen in Power 4 football in like a decade and a half.
They're the new Vanderbilt.
I couldn't believe how bad when I saw the stats. They've led for like 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
What were we talking about the other day? They've only led FBS teams this year 6.5 minutes of a 12-game schedule. It's a bad team, and those are the teams you're talking about at the bottom of those big conferences. And so if you are, Chris Klieman's absolutely right. The Big 12 has to play ball by saying they're going to only play 8 conference games, because the powers that be are going to dominate this thing, and they're going to tell you how it's done. All right, we'll take a break. We've got more to go around the corner. We've got a Would You Rather. I'm going to throw some things in there for you. I've got a question for you at the quarterback spot for Utah and for BYU, so stay here. It's a Football Friday right here. We're at the Doug Smith Mitsubishi in American Fork. We'll come back. We'll chat with Chris Smith in just a few minutes, and we'll get you going on some Black Friday deals on these Mitsubishis. Come take a look. More to go around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Many thanks to our producer, Alex Napolis, by the way, and our tech down here at Doug Smith Mitsubishi, Brant. Brant and Alex are doing extra work on a Black Friday, and we appreciate that. We love the people we work with, man. So, oh, man, we're watching this Utah State and Colorado State game. If the Aggies can hang on to this, man, and ruin Colorado State's end of season and shot to be able to get into that Mountain West Championship game, that'd be kind of fun for Nate Dreiling.
Yeah, why not?
I think the decision I fear that the decision about Nate Dreiling may have already been made by
100%.
Diana Sabo. It's unfortunate because you know what he's going to do? He's going to go call some defenses for some really good teams probably somewhere.
He's got head coaching experience at age 33.
At the FBS level.
It's a resume builder. I know it's not the final result he probably wanted, but maybe the new head coach takes a look at him as a DC here. I don't know.
So what would their last 5 games have looked like then? 4 out of 5? Their last 4 in a row?
They've played really good football of late.
Not 4 in a row. I guess it would have been their last 3 in a row it would have been. If
they've played much better. So they've won 3 of their last 4. They beat Wyoming. They lost at Washington State, understandable. But to get that win at Laramie was good. They blew out Hawaii 55-10, and they blew out San Diego State 41-20.
And then
if they end this season with a win over Colorado State, you win 4 of your last 5 games. Doesn't quite get you bowl eligible, but considering the circumstances, we knew coming into the season, we were overly optimistic they would rally together and that they would find some ways to win. There's been some teams in the Mountain West that are better this year than we thought. That Temple loss was brutal. That probably helped cost them to go bowling. If they get that win, they're probably going bowling after today, right?
Yeah.
Losing to New Mexico at home, not good. But that margin for error is thin when you got teams like Boise State and Utah and USC on your schedule.
Here's your Would You Rather. And by the way, Would You Rather, brought to you by the folks at the Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals, who bring you your Hercules Hero of the Week. Nominate that youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit that nomination at kslsports.com/contest. We read those winners off every week, and we celebrate the efforts of those youth sports volunteers that do an awesome job in our communities. Brought to you by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. All right, JJ, would you rather be Luke Batari starting, getting some playing time at the end of a bad season at Utah, or Gary Bohannon at BYU? Basically no snaps this year, but maybe a trip to the Big 12 championship game.
Oh, boy.
And possibly a college football playoff possibility, just at least kind of percolating in the back of your mind there.
This is the hardest question for any player. What's more important to you, winning or playing time? Because that's your answer.
Yeah.
And sometimes a guy saying playing time would be considered a reveal of a bad character trait.
Yeah.
Like you care more about yourself than you care about winning. I call BS on that. Like these players, you want to play. You train all year to play.
Yeah.
And I'd still go Bohannon with BYU. I think he has seen some reps. What are the odds that a fifth-string quarterback's going to get a shot? I think Luke Batari could have a great game tonight and get a win. And maybe that's a crowning achievement of his career. And he was on some good Utah teams that won games, so he got the best of both worlds. So maybe I'm going with that. But most would say you pick Gary because it's all about the winning. But does Gary feel like he's winning? It's hard. It's really hard in those situations, especially at the quarterback position, where if you don't start, you don't play.
I know that BYU probably wants another shot. I mean, we asked Connor Pay this week about it, right?
There's no doubt.
He wants another crack, but at the same time,
we know who they want to play.
Yeah, but do you want to play those guys, or do you want to play Iowa State, who's kind of struggling? If Arizona State loses and BYU gets into the Big 12 championship game that way and plays Iowa State, would you rather play that Iowa State team, who by the way isn't playing great?
Your chances of winning would be greater.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But your odds of getting into that game with an Iowa State win and an Arizona State loss are like less than 2%.
Yeah, but guess what? It's on the table.
Could Arizona win that territorial cup, that little tiny spittoon? Could they do that tonight? Could they do BYU fans a favor?
It is in
tomorrow.
It is in Tucson. All right,
Tucson. Tucson.
It could happen.
I think I do believe Kansas State's going to beat Iowa State. I believe that.
Wow.
I really do. I think Kansas State's the better football team. Like you're saying, we've watched Iowa State last week. Nothing that I saw in that game convinced me that they're the best team in the Big 12. And they were scuffling at the end of the season. Where they lose 2 in a row. I mean, no. I think that Kansas State's a better football team than Iowa State. I fully expect Kansas State to go to Ames and win Farmageddon. And that would put BYU in if BYU takes care of business.
What's more embarrassing to say, the Territorial Cup, the Arizona Territorial Cup, or the Farmageddon? Is there a lot of pride in that?
Farmageddon seems very FCS-ish.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You know what?
Like it feels like North Dakota State and South Dakota State should
they would
absolutely
be playing Farmageddon.
Not two Power 4 football teams.
The Corn Cup. You're like, geez, are you kidding? Come on, man. We are at the Doug Smith Mitsubishi here in American Fork. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. Second hour starts up, and we'll get you ready at 5 o'clock for your Utah pregame. When we return, though, we've got a couple things going on. We're going to listen to Jake Retzlaff and Coach Kalani Sitake this week and all the things they've said about getting ready for this final matchup of the regular season against Houston. It's Cougar on Cougar action. You heard it here on the KSL Sports Zone, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.